You know, hi everybody, welcome to the Here's What We Know live stream. When I asked Sandy Stec to join me, she said, "Okay, sure. What are we going to talk about it?" And my response, my response was, "Do we need anything to talk about?
True.
You and I have never had a problem talking. In fact, texting with you is so tough because I start sending books to her because
I'm
I'm
one
like,
of those too. I'm one of those too, Gary. You're not alone. We text like we think.
We'll get off topic here in a second, but I have to. Sandy has been a radio. She used to be here in the Bay Area, known her forever. Met her years ago when you were opening for somebody at a comedy club. You were the opening act, and I thought, and you were so young. You were so young, and my thought was, A, she's funny, but B, my God, she's brave. She's so brave because it is hard to do that, especially when you do what we do. When we sit in the room and we only hear the laugh in our head, but it's always there.
Mm-hmm.
It's always there. But to stand up on stage and do it, and I remember when I met you, and I even told you, I'm like, that was one of the bravest things. You are amazing. That is awesome. And ever since then, I've followed your career with a sense of pride.
Oh, that's
Right?
so nice.
Because I've always just enjoyed what you do and who you are. And your rise was meteoric. Now that you have a few miles under you, right? And it's my way of saying you're no longer 22.
Are you saying I'm rode hard, put away wet? That's what that sounds like.
Kinda. But listen, age is a gift. There's a lot of dead 26-year-olds who wishes they were our age.
Tell my left knee that. Tell my left knee that.
I know. But now that you have that experience, you realize your rise was pretty quick and it was not because anybody was giving you anything. It was because your talent demanded it. I mean, you can finally see that now. And I'm not asking you to go, yeah, I'm great, but you can see it and acknowledge it.
I think it's a few things. I think being kind helps.
Mm-hmm.
I think always wanting to better yourself in every way. I mean, look, I've gone through my bouts of depression and all that stuff too, but the goal has always been the same. So here I am now. I'm living in Los Angeles. I'm doing a radio show. I'm very grateful for that. I'm still doing comedy, but you know how you've seen that meme where it's like success and then it shows like the top of the mountain, but the underneath is all the stuff. Like we've all got it. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of, do you keep going or not? Do you keep asking yourself hard questions? Like who am I? What do I love? What lights me up? Why am I avoiding doing the work? That's what I've really started to focus on lately. Like, okay, if I know I need to do this, why am I screwing around online? Why am I choosing to watch Bar Rescue instead of writing notes? Well, because Bar Rescue is a great show. It's a great show, and I love John Taffer. That's why. But you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, but it all feeds into it. Even the stuff when you think you're goofing off, right? All the little things that you think, I should have been doing this or I should have done that. You have no idea that that's adding to what you're able to do, especially in the world of comedy. I mean, your job is to observe. Your job is to watch closely and pay attention. And that's where I think great comedy comes from. Now, there's all sorts of different ways of doing comedy. There's no right way of doing it. But I've never met a lot of dumb comedians. And you and I both have met a lot of them.
Yes. Well, I'm grateful it exists. The art of comedy exists because it's how we heal. It's the reason we laugh is because we relate. It makes our heart feel seen. It makes us feel seen. It makes us feel not alone. So, and I'm also grateful for radio for that too. I did radio in the Bay Area for 10 years in the morning, and it was so fun having a show where we could just talk about what happened yesterday that was annoying. That could be, example, they're working on the roof right now on my house, on my apartment. And I'm like, great, this could not be the worst time. Hopefully you're not hearing it, but they're right above me, like banging on the walls. I'm like, but just stuff like that. It's real life stuff that we all go through that we need to talk about because it's funny.
And that's the beautiful thing about this doing it now. That's where COVID changed. Nobody bats an eye at that, do they? I had the former mayor of San Jose on a podcast. We're doing it, and they're literally doing construction around him as we talk. I mean, you see people walking in and out, and he's like, "I am so sorry," and I'm like, "Nobody bats an eye anymore."
Nope. And I love when their pets walk across the screen. That's my favorite.
Oh, my dog is way too lazy. She's down here. at my feet. I have the world's laziest husky. Now, huskies are usually kind of high strung.
Yeah. Nope.
This dog looks like a wino. I
Oh,
mean, all she wants to do is just lay down. And for some reason, I'm her human. So wherever I'm at is where she's going to
oh,
be.
that's cute. She just wants to be with her dad.
Exactly right. And I'm the only one in the house who doesn't request her attention. My sons and my wife, oh, hey, Luna, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, get away from me, dog. Boom, there she is.
That is a metaphor for life. The less a man gives you attention, the more you want. I get it.
Listen, guys are the same way. And guys are every bad decision, usually with a woman for a guy, it's the same thing. A woman who just treats him like crud. Yep, she knows me. I'm the one. That's the one for me.
Yeah, as soon
And
as
then
she starts ignoring me, I miss her.
exactly. And, I love this because I love the idea. Now, I'm not a comedian. I've never been up on stage. I admire it. I always wanted to do it. I just never got around to committing, as you were saying, having the energy to go. This is what I'm going to do. What made you flip that switch? What made you decide I'm gonna get up on that stage and I'm gonna see what happens?
I don't know. I always wanted to. And when I was like 19, there was a place in Palo Alto called I think it's still there, the Rose and Crown. It's like an Irish pub. And my
Yeah.
mom, I was going to Ohlone College in Fremont, and my mom's like, hey, there's a thing in the paper that they do an open mic on Monday nights. And I was just starting to think about comedy. I don't know what drew me to it. I went to some seminars, which was, don't ever do that, but whatever. It is what it is. Um, can you hear the banging? It's so annoying. I hear it right. You
Yeah,
hear?
I can. It's fine. It's
Oh
fine.
God. Anyways, at least something's banging in this house. What? Anyways, so anyways, I went to the Rose and Crown, and I remember one night I couldn't go to bed, and I had all these ideas flowing in my brain, and I didn't know what it meant, so I just started jotting notes down. And that ended up being my first 5 minutes of comedy. But it's like sometimes when you're quiet with yourself, whatever your art is it's a meditation. Things just come to you, and you're like, I don't know where that came from. Sometimes it's insight, sometimes it's comedy, sometimes it's whatever your stuff is. And I really feel like that was just the beginning. And then I got addicted to the laughs and the high that you feel when people laugh at your stuff. And then I started to really suck, because then you start having bad sets and you're like, oh, they didn't like this one. Why? There's a joke I just wrote. Can I tell you it? I love it.
I would love it. I would love it. I love the process of comedy so much.
Because I love this, and I've only performed it like 3 times, and 2 audiences liked it but felt sorry for me, and 1 really liked it. So my joke is, and it's a funny joke. I said, I was at dinner last night, and when they gave me the bill, they asked if I needed parking validation. And I said, I actually need emotional validation. And I didn't even sign the check. I just wrote, when will I be enough? Such a good joke, right? The audience.
It's a great joke. And I'm like, don't give up on that joke.
I'm not. I refuse. I will make that joke work because I'm so proud of it.
Well, and when you've talked to enough comedians, I've told you before, I loved, and I don't work for iHeart or Sirius or any of those people that she works. She works for the big companies. I never did. But I loved it. I've told you before, you did an interview with Jay Leno, and it was Sebastian Maniscalco. And I've had Sebastian in studio. I got bumped by Jay Leno one time.
What do you mean you got bumped?
They had hired me to do a charity auction downtown San Jose at the Fairmont. And I'm supposed to go on. Jay Leno's doing his set, and then I'm going to go on and do the charity auction, right? They had hired me, the whole thing, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm getting ready to go on. I'm like 20 minutes from going on. Jay's up there and stuff, ready to the thing. And the organizer came and ran up to me, and she goes, Jay said he'd do the auction.
Wait, somebody else chose to do it? How?
Jay Leno decided.
Oh, Jay wanted to do the auction.
Jay decided he would do the auction.
I mean, yeah, you can't argue with that.
I mean, exactly right? But it also took any option I had to ever meet Jay Leno away, right? And it was just like, well, you can go home now.
Oh.
So I got bumped by Jay Leno is my story.
You did.
But watching him, and it's the craft of the joke, it's the art of the joke, it's that joke you just told, it's a great joke, and now you just are having to find the best way to present it.
Yes, and that comes with time and comfort. Sometimes you're really excited, and then I don't perform as much as I'd like because I'm on the air here, and I'm on the air until 7 p.m. and a lot of the shows start at 8, and LA traffic's crazy. So I do the best I can, but it's a muscle, and it takes performing it multiple times to feel comfortable with it enough. But sometimes, you go to a show sometimes and the comic won't get a laugh and they'll say, whatever, that was just for me. That was just for me. And I feel like this joke I just told you, like, I don't care. I'm never going to not do it. I love it. So yeah.
I listen, it's there. You know me well enough that I'd go, because I knew that to my kids when they were young, they would try to come up with jokes. And Dad's response was always, needs work.
Why haven't you been on stage? Because you seem to love stand-up so much.
I love it, but I did morning radio.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bed at 8:30.
How many years, by the way? How many years?
Wow. 40 something.
So I think morning radio is a form of comedy. Maybe it's not, but it really is, with timing and writing and bits and all that stuff.
Well, I've had this conversation with comedians that the beautiful thing about comedy, and it used to be that way, you don't get to do it anymore, but you could literally do your set for a year and a half, right? Because you were going around the country, nobody was seeing it, there was no YouTube, none of this stuff. So they would work on that set and make it just so tight, and it'd be so great. Well, our stuff, and you remember morning radio, we're doing an improv show every day.
Yep.
And I don't know. And it's crazy. And so it was fun. I say this one thing, and I've said it out loud before. Richard Jenney was in studio. Remember Richard Jenney, the comedian? Oh, yeah. I loved it. And we were sitting there talking one day, and he was talking about, he said, I'm working on this idea that violence, violence and stuff. And he goes, violence doesn't solve anything. And I looked over him and I said, well, it seemed to solve World War II. and he started to laugh. And I said, wouldn't it make lunch a lot easier if you just pulled out like a switchblade or a gun and said, so we're going to Denny's? And he goes, can I use that? And I said, absolutely. And in the last stand-up he did before he tragically committed suicide, but the last stand-up he did, he does this bit, and he goes, and he goes, wouldn't it be a lot easier when you asked to go to lunch and all of a sudden you pulled out a gun and went bang, 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 we're going to Wendy's.
Yeah. That was you.
And I was like, so I got to be a part of the process. But to watch my germ of an idea being taken by a true pro and saying, I can do something with it that you can't. That was awesome. But I've always wanted to be stand-up. I've never had the time. And if I have to be honest with myself, if I was braver, because at some point you have to just go, I'm going to stand up here, and if I fail, I fail. That's a unique gene. Because most people just fold, and people like you, people are like, okay, that didn't work, now let's do the next one. That's crazy. That's amazingly strong. Because you talked about you went through your depression, and I remember when you went through this, and I knew at the time you were going to be fine, but I couldn't tell you that. You can't tell somebody who's in the middle of depression you're going to be fine. You just can't. But I knew you, and I knew how much inner strength you had, that it's like, if you could just hold on and just dance a little bit, just dance a little bit until the music starts, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And from that strength,
a lot of it is very hard, though. And if you're watching and you're ever going through it, just know find that 1% of you that's like, I have to find another way, because it's there. And then eventually that'll grow into something bigger, but you have to give that. The thoughts that are negative are so easy to wallow in. God, I'm a professional wallower. If I could get paid, I'd be a millionaire. I am a millionaire. But actually doing the work and sitting and asking yourself, I'm really into personal growth. And you have to ask yourself questions like, why do I do these things? What do I believe about myself? Where could these thoughts have come from? Are these my thoughts? Is this society? Is this what? So it's like you just start doing the inner work. And I think that has really helped me figure a lot out. But God, it's hard to do. Hardest work you'll ever do.
Is there anything that's easy to do outside of eating? I mean, that comes in
Your
pretty
words have
easy.
never been spoken. Thank
Yeah, but I
you.
mean, outside of that, I can so slam that down. Listen, I asked you for 10 minutes and I knew I would go long because I can't stop talking to
I
you.
don't mind. Here we are.
I love it. Now you're going to be at the punchline.
I
So
am.
you're going to come back up because your family still lives here. So you
Oh,
come up
yes.
and you know my dream. My dream is to, I told you this before we went on the air. My dream is to have you in studio. So if I could ever set this up for in studio,
I'm
and
in.
my sons will sit right there and laugh at everything you say and nothing I say, because that's where I'm at in their life right now. But I also would love to do a live podcast taping
I would
with
love it.
you with an audience.
I will even do that with your studio not perfectly set up. We can even do that as is with the mess and everything. I don't
Well,
care.
I would do it because I want to do it at a location. Like I've got some
Ooh.
friends who have like bars and restaurants, and I would love to do it where you and I do a live podcast taping. Because the thing about radio people is we have to think on our feet.
Hmm.
And so I told my team that I work with, I'm like, if we can ever make this happen, she's my perfect guest
Oh, that's really nice of
because
you.
she has everything you need. She's got the comedy, she's got the wit, she's got the personal depth. I mean, she's the perfect live show. So just know, if I can make that happen, I'm going to try to schedule it around when you finally come up and see your family, which is never enough according to your
Oh,
parents.
I will come up regardless. I will come up regardless. So yeah, August 22nd through the 24th, I'll be at the Punchline for 5 shows.
That's so much fun.
Thank
Well,
you. I'm very
I'm
excited.
I'm so thrilled that you're doing that. And I always knew you would. And I'm glad that, it's nice to sleep in now, right? Because you're doing afternoons.
Yeah, Gary, I show prep for my show while watching The Price is Right. I'm not lying. And I feel super guilty, but I don't care. It's so nice to not get up at 4 a.m. anymore. It's so nice. It's so nice.
It
I
is the
missed it.
price
I
you
missed
pay.
it. Yeah.
I mean, you miss it, and it's the price you pay, and that's the stuff. I mean, because I work from a home studio now,
Yeah.
right? And but I do miss going into the studio. I do miss being removed from reality
I
because
get
you
it.
are.
I get it. It's a discipline too to work from home. Like
Yeah.
being your own boss, that I don't know if I could do it. I really don't. I'd rather work in my work because if I'm here, forget it.
Well, and I did too, and it was a different experience for me for COVID, right? Because I was essential worker. So
Mhm.
I had to go into the studio every day. And
Mm.
we were in this big building that had like five other businesses. Nobody was there for a year. So it
Wow.
was just me go into work every day for a year with nobody there. But it was a different experience for because at least I'd get out. Well, my
Yeah.
wife who worked from home, and I just it was that's all she saw. And
Wow.
so it was interesting when she had a chance to how much more she needed people. And at least we got out, right? You
Yes.
and I
Oh my
got out.
gosh. And I personally need that. I'm not, as much as I would love to work from home, I need the energy of people.
Mhm.
It lights me up. It's how I function. That's why I like to do comedy or even radio, just knowing there's a connection being made. I need
Well,
that for my well-being.
now you know why I've run long because how much I enjoy this when
I
this
know.
happens. And
It's
it's
fun.
just the best. Well, go yell at the workers.
Okay.
Thank you, my friend. Anytime you have an extra Wednesday on your personage, let me know because I'm all into talking to you whenever you have time to talk.
That's very kind. Well, thank you for having me. You're the best. I can't wait to record in your home studio or a restaurant or wherever we take the podcast on the road.
We will do it. Sandy Stec, you're the best, my friend.
Thank you. You too, Gary.